Hello and welcome to a brand new property. This one is called And Then What Happened. This is an improvised storytelling session, which I am doing alongside Neville Shah. So, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be attempting to do a completely improvised horror story, the details of which will be provided by our lovely audience over here. So what we need for this horror story is we need suggestions from you guys. That's how we're going to be improvising this. So Baba, what all should we get from them?
Character के नाम तो ले ही लेते हैं.
Names. Let's get names. Okay, so horror story. So tell us the name of your favorite sibling.
Veena.
Abhishek, I'm taking Veena, Abhishek, and
Srinivas.
Listen, you do know that this is a horror story and one of your siblings might pop it, right? You know this, right? Just telling you upfront. Okay. Veena, Abhishek, Srinivas. Now give us one more name, a female name. Astha. Okay, Astha it is. Next up, give us, how would you like a object?
Yeah, we should.
We should take an object, right? Okay. So guys, give us an object that you received as a birthday present that you fucking hated. You did not like it at all. It was the worst gift that was ever given to you.
A pot.
A what?
Gamla.
Gamla. Someone gave you a gamla. That's pretty low on the list of things. What do you think, Baba? Do you want to take a gamla? Gamla is interesting. You're not going to ever
call it a pot.
Yes, we'll call it a pot.
Should we take like where it's happening types? Like is it in a jungle or is it like, should we get like a
setting?
Like a setting or a location.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so guys, give us a location or a setting that you would like to see this story in. Preferably, give us something that you would want to see in a horror story.
A film set.
Island.
Hostel. Train station.
Let's do train station. Chal, Baba. We're setting it in a train station. The characters are Veena, Abhishek, Srinivas, Astha, and one of the objects that we have is a flower pot, aka gamla. So let's begin it. Our story begins on a train. It's 3:30 in the morning and Abhishek's phone alarm starts ringing. Groggily gets up, looks at the phone, then looks at his wife who's sleeping on the berth next to him. Gets up, wakes her up, and he says, "Utho, station aane wala hai." Veena and Abhishek are a newly married couple. They've been married for just about 6 months and they are going finally for a honeymoon. After their marriage, they had not gone for a honeymoon because both of them were extremely busy people and they had only found time now after 6 months to go for this long delayed honeymoon. Now the place that they're going to is a resort. It's a resort in the jungle. In this one particular, it's like a resort that's nestled in the forest, and the attraction of this resort is that it's away from civilization. You get to spend time alone, be in peace with nature for company. Like them are avid hikers and nature lovers, and which is why they've chosen this particular honeymoon like spot. The only thing is that this resort is a little bit off the beaten track, which is why they have to stop at this one particular station called Shivpur. Shivpur is a very, very obscure, small, nondescript station. Almost nothing or almost no trains stop at Shivpur. There's only this one particular train and it stops at an ungodly hour. That hour is 3:45 in the morning. The train slowly makes its way through the dark night, passes through a tunnel. Abhishek and Veena hear the scream of the metallic wheels as the train races through this tunnel. They hear the blare of the horn of the train as it shoots through this tunnel. And finally, it reaches on the other side and starts slowing down as it arrives at Shivpur. Now, because it's so remote and it's so early, they had spoken to the resort, and the resort had assured them that there would be somebody at the station at 3:45 to pick them up, and then the car would take them to the resort. The train stops at Shivpur, and the two of them get down. As they get down, they look to the left and they look to the right, and they notice that it's just the two of them that have gotten down. The platform itself looks eerily empty. There's one small shop that's lit, and there's a person that's behind the counter, but apart from that, there's almost nobody on the platform. And then the train pulls away, leaving them on the platform. Bawa.
When the train pulls away, leaving them on the platform, they sort of, for a second, Veena and Abhishek look at each other and consider the fact whether, they should have gotten back on the train. They look at their watch. It's 4:45. The train is late. They assume that the person who was supposed to pick them up decided to leave or is going to come back. The only solace they have is that little shop with the person behind, and they decide that, like all humans, they flock towards light, and they head in the direction of that. All they have is 2 rolly suitcases and a knapsack. And on this extremely run-down, broken station platform, the suitcase, as it drags, makes a very eerie, scratchy sort of sound. Veena dragging her suitcase, Abhishek dragging his suitcase, and Abhishek carrying the knapsack. They reach the shop, and when they reach the shop, they sort of look at the uncle, and the uncle just looks at them straight and says, "Haan, wo aa raha hai." And they're like, "What?" They're like, "आपको जो पिकअप करने आया था, वो आया था और वो वापस गया है, वो वापस आ रहा है थोड़ी देर में, मुझे बताया, आप बैठ सकते हैं, आप कुछ लेंगे, चाय कॉफी." The Veena and Abhishek almost instantly feel better. Human contact, human interaction. And they both say, "Sure, we'd love a cup of tea." And this guy gets down to making it. And the Veena asks the shopkeeper, "Aapki ye dukaan kab se?" So he says, "Actually, मेरे पापा की थी, लेकिन अभी मैं चलाता हूँ, मेरे पापा गुजर." So they are like, "Oh, okay, sorry," and stuff like that. And then she says that यहाँ कोई और आता नहीं है, ये ट्रेन से कितने लोग उतरते हैं, मतलब हम दोनों ही उतरे हैं, ये जहाँ हम जा रहे हैं रिसोर्ट, वो तो इज लाइक रिसोर्ट थोड़ा दूर है, आपको करीबन 1 घंटा तो लगेगा, लेकिन हाँ बहुत कम लोग आते हैं क्योंकि यहाँ कोई उतरना नहीं चाहता रात को 4:45 बजे. At which point Veena and Abhishek are like, "Oh, okay, we're sort of going to get the place to ourselves. It's going to be a decent honeymoon." At which point this guy brings them the tea, serves them the tea. They take a sip or two, and Srinivas, who is the shopkeeper, says, "वैसे मेरा नाम श्रीनिवास है, मैं आपके साथ चाय पी सकता हूँ," and joins them. He doesn't ask. He just says, "मैं आपके साथ चाय पी सकता हूँ," and sits right next to them. They notice something about Srinivas's demeanor that's a little strange. He has his little gamcha, that little cloth, and he takes that cloth and he puts it on the side on this little plant that's growing out of a flower pot next to where he's sitting. And he puts that gamcha there and he starts talking to them. There's something weird about the way he asks them questions because he's very intrusive. He says, आप लोग कितने साल से एक दूसरे को जानते हो? आपकी शादी कब हुई? आप कहाँ से हो? आप कितने दिन रहने वाले हो? And I think at about the 10th or 12th question, it gets a little weird. So Abhishek and Veena just sort of, cut the conversation and say, वो कितनी देर में आएंगे? And he looks at, Srinivas looks at Veena and Abhishek and he says, पता नहीं, एक दो दिन भी जा सकते हैं.
He says, एक दो दिन भी जा सकते हैं, and this creeps the two of them out. They immediately ask him कि आपका क्या मतलब है एक दो दिन जा सकते हैं? And he says कि शिवपुर जगह ही ऐसी है, यहाँ टाइम का कोई मायना नहीं है. So they say, at this point Abhishek says, ये क्या बकवास कर रहे हो? And Srinivas says, आप कितने बजे उतरे थे? Says 3:45. Says कितना टाइम हो गया होगा? Says कुछ 15 मिनट. Says घड़ी देखो अपना. And Abhishek looks and he sees there is 3:45. Says तो इसीलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि कभी भी आ सकते हैं. अभी 2 मिनट बाद, 2 दिन बाद. At this point, Veena starts nudging Abhishek and he looks at her and he sees that there is fear on her face. It's naked fear. He's never seen her like this in the short time that they've been married. She's never been in this state. So he holds her hand and squeezes it. At this point, Srinivas says, आपने पढ़ा नहीं था इस जगह के बारे में? And Abhishek says, क्या पढ़ना था? Srinivas says, यहाँ घटनाएं होती हैं, अजीब और गरीब घटनाएं. आपको मैं एक कहानी बताता हूँ इस जगह की. चाय लेंगे? अभिषेक says, आप रहने दीजिए, चाय रहने दीजिए, हमको कुछ कहानी नहीं सुननी. Srinivas says, ठीक है. He takes his gamcha off the plant, he pets the plant, and then he goes back whistling to stand behind his counter. Abhishek now gets up and he starts looking at the railway tracks, hoping that there is a light, a train, something coming this way. And all he can hear is Srinivas whistling behind him. Veena has come quietly and stood behind him. She doesn't want to be anywhere near that creepy man. The two of them hold each other and they keep staring out into the distance. And Srinivas says, ट्रेन कभी भी आ सकती है, अभी 2 सेकंड में, 2 दिन में. अगर मैं आपके जगह होता तो बैठ जाता. अभिषेक says, बकवास बंद करो, हमें आपसे बात नहीं करनी है. Srinivas looks at him and starts whistling. It's a very odd whistle. It's a low, repetitive, that's all he keeps doing. It's not even different every single time. Abhishek takes out his phone and Veena says, "Resort ko laga rahe ho?" He says, "Ha." Starts dialing the number and he puts the phone to his ear. And instead of a ringtone, all he can hear is Bawa.
Abhishek literally throws the phone off his ear and he looks at him, and Srinivas is continuing to whistle, smiling, going about his own business, and he's still that same whistle. Abhishek can't seem to understand what's happening, and so he takes his phone and he dials again. And again, it's that same shrill whistle. He doesn't understand what's happening. He cuts the call and he walks with full stead towards Srinivas. And he says, "आप please मुझे बताइए, आपने ये कैसे किया?" So he says, "मैंने क्या किया?" So he says, "मैं फोन लगा रहा हूँ हॉस्टल को, लेकिन मेरे को आपकी सीटी की आवाज सुनाई दे रही है." So he looks at them, he looks at him, smiles and says, "शिवपुर जगह ही ऐसी है, आपने पढ़ा नहीं था इस जगह के बारे में? मैं आपको एक किस्सा सुनाता हूँ, चाय लेंगे?" And Abhishek just howls, saying, shut up, I don't know what, shut up. And he just takes his bag. Veena takes her bag. He takes Veena by the hand, takes his thing and takes his knapsack and he starts to walk or looking for the exit of the station. Srinivas goes back to whistling. And as soon as Srinivas goes back to whistling and he's dragging this, Veena kicks the pot. This pot is a heavy pot with a plant on it. But what's really, really strange is when Veena kicks that pot, the pot just tilts and comes back into place. It doesn't fall. It just tilts and comes back to place. Srinivas whistles and stops and looks at Veena and says, "कोई बात नहीं, आपके साथ कुछ नहीं होगा." And Veena, even more creeped out, tugs onto Abhishek and starts to drag the suitcase along, starting to leave. They're walking closer to the platform as far as they can from the shop. And suddenly, from the distance, they hear a whistle. That same whistle. But this time, it's from the other side of the platform. There's a shop with a light and a man behind that light. They can't fucking believe what the hell is happening. They think it's a different stall. They hope it's a different stall. They're praying it's a different stall. They run towards that stall, and right there, Srinivas is smiling, whistling. And he says, "वो आता ही होगा." इसे कौन जो आपको होटल ले जाने वाला है, वो आता ही होगा। बैठिए, आप चाय लेंगे? Kautuk.
At this point, two of them are shaking. Their hands are trembling. And they don't reply. They look at him, then they look behind from where they've come. And all they see is an empty platform. Srinivas has gone back to whistling. Veena looks at Abhishek and she says, "Ki, मुझे यहाँ नहीं रहना है. चलते हैं अभिषेक, प्लीज चलते हैं यहाँ से, मुझे बहुत डर लग रहा है. Abhishek says, okay, निकलते हैं, let's go. They decide that they're going to turn back and go from where they've come. As they turn back, they see that the light has appeared now behind them. And there is a stall. They turn back again. They walk a few meters and again there's a light and there's a stall. They walk towards it and again Srinivas is there whistling. Same insidious whistle. And both of them have broken down. They're crying. They say कि हम कहाँ हैं? श्रीनिवास हम कहाँ पहुँच गए? He says, शिवपुर, ये जगह ही ऐसी है. किस्सा सुनेंगे? चाय पियेंगे? The two of them are now creeped out. But through the tears, they know that there's nowhere else to go. So they sit down. And he makes them kadak adrak wali chai. Brings 2 kullars. Hands one each. He's got a third. He sits next to them on that bench next to the plant. Takes his gamcha off and lays it on the plant. And he pats the plant and he says, किस्सा सुनाता हूँ. बहुत साल पहले एक आदमी आया था शिवपुर. उसकी शादी थी, पर पागल ने एक बहुत बड़ी गलती कर दी थी. प्यार में पड़ गया था. लड़की जहां से थी वहां उसके माँ बाप राजी नहीं हुए शादी के लिए. और जैसे ही लड़का आया शिवपुर, वहां से गायब हो गया. कुछ दिन बाद लड़की भी गायब हो गई. आज तक दोनों लापता हैं. लोग कहते हैं कि वो भाग के शिवपुर स्टेशन आए थे ट्रेन पकड़ने, घर जाने. पर फिर कुछ घटना हुई, क्योंकि शिवपुर जगह ही ऐसी है. और तब से जो लोग शिवपुर आते हैं, करीब करीब 4 बजे रात के पास उनके साथ अजीब व गरीब चीजें होती हैं. At this point, he turns to the plant and he says, क्यों? सही कह रहा हूं? The two of them look at the plant. The plant is absolutely stock still. They don't know why this man is talking to a plant. Baba.
I have no idea why this man's talking to a plant. He pets the plant and says, आप चिंता मत कीजिए, आपके साथ कुछ नहीं होगा, क्योंकि आप आस्था को पसंद. So both of them look at each other saying, what? And they're like, आस्था, इससे मैं प्यार करता था. एक दिन मैं शिवपुर भाग के आया और मेरे साथ एक हादसा हुआ. क्या करूं, शिवपुर जगह ही ऐसी. तो इज लाइक, लेकिन आस्था एक पौधा है. नहीं, वो एक लड़की थी. At this point, a whistle starts again. That same shrill whistle. They look in the direction of the whistle, and for their rescue, there's a train that's pulling into the station. And as the train is pulling into the station, The only thing different about this train is that it's the same train they were on. But it's got that same shrill whistle that Srinivas was making. They look, the train stops. Veena and Abhishek try to run towards the train, at which point they see Veena and Abhishek get off the train. They turn back around and Srinivas just looks at them and says, चिंता मत करो, आपके साथ कुछ नहीं, शिवपुर जगह ही ऐसी. The end.